James, one of the other things that you talked about was looking at the creditworthiness of the tenant. When you are looking at prospective tenants, what are the things that go into a landlord's decision whether or not to lease to a particular business or person?
Yeah, there's a kind of a number of different things that we look at. You know, how long that the tenant's been in business. We want to see that they actually have a proven track record for their company. Second, we'll take a look at their financial statements. We ask for 3 years worth of financial statements as well as tax returns to prove that the income that they're telling us is real.
Let me stop you there. So when you're
Sure.
getting financial statements, those are typically what, profit and loss statements and balance sheets?
Yeah, we look at the P&Ls. I'd say that that's probably the most important.
So for a lot of companies, you recommend that they go to their CPA or tax preparer to get these documents in order before they submit a lease application?
Yeah, I would say that that would be prudent. You know, we want to make sure that they have income and that they've been paying rent before, you know, and just making sure that we're not going to overburden the tenant. Because sometimes they come to us and, you know, want the earth, moon, the stars, but they really can't afford it. And so it's very important that we ensure that whatever they're doing is really going to make relevant sense for them as well as for us before we do any sort of investment in the space.
So David, a lot of the tenants that we've dealt with who kind of get in trouble is they get into space, as James said, space they can't afford, or they haven't looked at some of the essential criteria for the space, like foot traffic, especially in a retail center. I'd imagine that's something that tenants would ask the landlord for. Do you have any type of study on the foot traffic, number of people that pass by this area? Are those things from a landlord's perspective, those things that you guys maintain?
It is. Usually the Economic Development Council of any city has that information. Or here in Texas, we have TxDOT, and they do traffic counts on the main thoroughfares in town. And so larger retailers, they usually pull that up before they even speak with the landlord. But less sophisticated tenants will ask us for that information, and that's generally where we pull it from. So we can give the most relevant information to the retail tenants.
So I want you to kind of flip roles and imagine you're in the tenant's perspective. If a tenant is coming to one of your buildings or another landlord, what are some things that they should absolutely try to negotiate from that first meeting?
Okay. I think from the first meeting, they really should find the location that they feel is the best fit for them. And if you're a retail tenant, making sure that you have those relevant traffic counts. Because it's very easy to go find a less expensive space somewhere, but if you don't have that traffic, I mean, your business is really going to suffer because of that. And so looking at those rental rates as the first thing, you know, is not as important in my perspective if you're on the retail end, because you really want to make sure that you get the right clientele and find that target audience for yourself.
Now, when you're talking about location, we're talking on a grander scale of location within a certain city block or city area. What about a location within a particular retail space? Is that going to be more or less likely to command higher or lower rents?
It all depends on, you know, where you're located. Like we have a retail center that I'd say is a pretty good example. It's shaped in an L. It's harder for us to lease the interior corner of that L retail center, where it's very easy to lease the end caps of the center because they have the most visibility. They're right on the street. So one of those end caps for us is actually leased by Starbucks. And you know, they know that, and they're very aware of the most suitable conditions for their retail outlets. But if you're, I don't know, if you're a mom and pop store or not at that top tier, you know, there's nothing wrong with the interior of the building. You usually pay a little less for rent, and you have those end cap users that are driving traffic into the center. And so making sure that you have a synergistic relationship with those, you know, those groups is really beneficial.